Hi everyone, welcome back to Muse podcast. I'm Heather Davies. This week I'm talking with Lara about her vestibular journey with labyrinthitis, vestibular neuritis, and vestibular migraine that began after delivering her twin daughters about 12 years ago. Her symptoms began to increase and she was experiencing noise sensitivity, also known as hyperacusis, light sensitivity, and small vertigo episodes that got progressively worse over 2 years, which led to scary, debilitating vertigo, disequilibrium, panic attacks, agoraphobia, and like many vestibular warriors, bouts of depression with some suicidal thoughts. Having strong support from family and wanting to be an active parent in her daughters' lives helped her find her inner strength to push on. She began her blog, rightfully called Mummy Seeing Double, to share her healing journey so others would feel less alone. Lara lives in Surrey, England with her beautiful family and continues to be an inspiration to many. Welcome, Lara.
Hi. Thanks for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
I wanted to see if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and then a little bit about your vestibular journey.
Yeah, so I'm a mummy to 12-year-old twin girls who are identical. And my world, obviously, as everybody says, but they really are.
Yes.
I'm a wife to Nick, my husband, been together 25 years, married. Oh, gosh, that's a test. Married 15 years. Oh, I nearly forgot. Married 15 years. And I'm a marketing director for a printing company that Nick and I own and run and do a lot of film and TV stuff. So it's exciting. And live in Surrey in England. That's me.
Nice.
Leafy Surrey.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. We're very lucky where we live, actually, because we can literally walk out our door and go for miles in the country, which was great with COVID because with the lockdowns, we could actually just
absolutely. In your garden, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, that's been a big healer of mine. Doing gardening and I just love flowers, and I like tree hugging.
Tree hugging, yes. When I see a big beauty, I have to pull over and I think.
I know. I saw the video the other day that you posted, and I do. One of my dreams is to go over to Yellowstone National Park, and so Nick keeps going on about that. So now I've done a big flight. I think I can make it.
Absolutely. Now, when did your symptoms begin? Like 12 years ago?
Yeah. So my symptoms began when I got my period back after giving birth to the girls in 2009. Come sort of the early 2010, I started getting just a weird feeling, off balance, disequilibrium, kind of a fainty feeling as well. I used to walk into our local big town with a pushchair and be all sort of happy as on my way with the girls, and would literally fall to the side and fall in hedges, and I'd have to get Nick to come pick me up. I thought it was like my iron, I thought it was like anemic or something after the birth. I took iron tablets and I went to the doctors. It wasn't iron. They did all the tests. It wasn't anything. This is the typical vestibular migraine journey of diagnosis. But it was really frightening. Didn't know what was wrong with me. So I just put it down to maybe the period starting again. I was still breastfeeding 2 babies and put it down to exhaustion, really. But it just kept on carrying on. And the doctor kept saying, well, it's labyrinthitis. It will ease, next month or whatever. And it never did. And it never went away. So that's when it started in the early 2010.
And you had 2 little babies and you were running your own business besides Nick's, right?
Yeah, I actually, at the time, I was working with my brother with the design agency that we ran. So yeah, running a partnership of our own business. But I'd been on maternity, I'd sort of, doing it part-time because I've been on maternity leave. But actually, had some time off a little bit to have the girls, so yes, I was working a little bit, but I was mostly, being mummy, basically. But I did run my own business in 2011, a gift company.
That's the one I'm thinking of, yeah.
Yes, that was the corporate baby one. So, it was just, I think it was busy enough with 2 kids at the time, but it was really scary because I just remember just thinking, gosh, well, I'm really dizzy. How am I going to take them up the stairs? Or, sometimes I would hold them both together and then feel a little bit off balance. I'd have to quickly put them down and, it just doesn't feel safe. So I ended up I did carry them sometimes when I felt better, but most of the time I didn't. And it stopped me from carrying them as much maybe as a normal mum would, which is, heart-wrenching really, because what you want to do is carry your babies everywhere, but sometimes it's impossible with 2. So actually, in the same vein, I, didn't want to sort of carry one and then cuddle one and then not cuddle the other. So.
Right. When my symptoms started, Lila was 3. And one of my first vertigo episodes, laying on the floor and her just playing with her toys next to me because my husband was working. I can't imagine having 2.
Yeah. It was, and I think I noticed, now I look back, I noticed that I had the noise sensitivity starting to creep in when they were babies, because they would scream for food and, I'd be like, right, making up the food and everything, but it would just deafen me and I would feel dizzier and I'd get headaches. And so this basically, these symptoms ramped up. And I would then start to get the light sensitivity after sort of 6 months. I was getting more of that, more of the sort of blocking my ears, I didn't have tinnitus as such back then. I don't remember having it until way into my diagnosis, actually. About 10 years ago, the tinnitus started. But I was then starting to get little blips like what I now know as vertigo, but not as major as I then went on to have. I would sometimes sort of fall to my knees because I just feel so dizzy and so spinny. I unfortunately did get progressively worse as time went on. So I spent 2 years like that, going back to the doctors, back and forth, being told it's labyrinthitis, it will get better. I'd be like, no, it's not getting better. I mean, I've got 2 kids. I need to love them. I need to go out and, walk them and do whatever I want with them, and I felt myself being restricted because of how I felt and because it was scary not knowing what I had. So those first 2 years, probably the most scariest.
Right.
Not knowing what I had and having 2 newborns, really.
When were you diagnosed with the second vestibular disorder?
So the first one, I was diagnosed with vestibular migraine October 2012. So it took 2 years to get to the right consultant, as I kept pushing and pushing. I think we know ourselves when something's not right. And when you're being told something, you just have to be your own advocate and keep pushing. The second vestibular diagnosis came the year after. So not only had I got vestibular, I've got my head around this new diagnosis and sort of doing research and sending all the links over to my family and blah, blah, and then suddenly, I was then, this awful second diagnosis came in May 2013. And that was vestibular neuritis, and it was nerve damage in the right ear. It was the positional and gravitational nerve that had gone. And what I now know is it's, back then they told me it was because of the viral attacks, repeated tonsillitis I'd had since 2011. And I kept having them. I literally would have tonsillitis every 4 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
For a couple of years. And unfortunately, my tonsillectomy came too late. And also what damaged my ear nerves too was antibiotics, because I was getting not just tonsillitis, I was getting sinusitis, rhinositis, I was getting conjunctivitis, I was getting throat thrush. I was getting strep throat because my good bacteria in my gut was ruined from antibiotics.
Mm-hmm.
Because back then they dished them out.
Yep.
Good. They just didn't realize the damage it was doing to such a delicate vestibular system.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very wary, now.
Right.
When my kids are told to go on antibiotics, I'm like, well, is it really necessary? Because I know what happened to me. So that was really scary. That second diagnosis, that was my world. I felt like it had ended, literally, just upside down, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was then now dealing with two, not just one, and there was no way of knowing which one was kicking off. So they had very similar symptoms. So the disequilibrium, the dizziness, the vestibular neuritis, has vertigo as well. I had already been getting some nasty drop attacks from the vestibular migraine back in September 2012. I had a really, really big one that I thought I was having a heart attack. And I crawled to the couch. I was working. I was on my laptop. And I now know that scrolling's not good.
Right.
Although my brain's got used to it now. But I remember crawling to the couch, this huge vertigo attack that chucked me off my seat. And I remember calling my dad saying, what's a heart attack feel like? Because I think I'm having one. That was really scary. And they were in Ireland at the time, so not as if they could pop round and see me. So yes, it was a very scary time. And actually thinking back now, how the hell I got through all that with young kids is, it's just the support, I suppose, the support I've had with my family, my parents and my husband. And,
right.
That got me through. And actually looking at the girls going, right, I can do this. I can get through this.
You got to do.
Yeah. That incentivized me to press on and have the passion to fight on. But I went through some really dark times. No word about it. I was suicidal because it's in your head. You can't get away from it.
Right.
And, there were times that I was lying on the garage floor in a fetal position. I was bashing holes through doors in the house. It was a horrible time of my life. And actually, it's frightening living through it yourself, but actually for a partner, I didn't realise how much that puts on a person.
Right.
And then also I was trying to hide it from my kids. So the pressure.
Yeah,
and then not
tough.
Tell many people.
Right.
No one understood.
No one to talk to.
Yeah, there were no real forums back then. There were
the support
like there is now.
So much better right today. When did you start your blog? Did you start your blog because of the symptoms, or?
Yeah, so I started my blog. So the public blog I started 2017 in the January because I'd started.
Really?
Yeah. So it was quite far into it, and I felt at the time I wanted to kind of go public, not just to my friends and family, but I wanted people to have hope and inspiration because I'd actually gone through a journey of healing and, mindset healing, of physical healing and gut healing, and had learned so much since 2010 that I wanted to share my experiences and try and see if I could help people out there not feel so alone. So I started the public blog January 17th, 2017. I know the date. And then actually it was one of our, members of the group that said, maybe we could have a private group. Mm-hmm. So actually I made the group. I then did the group August 2017 and then went private with it. So people, could talk freely.
Right.
Because a lot of people, don't tell their nearest and dearest because it is very difficult to understand. So yes, been a few years since I've had the blog.
What was the game changer for you? What helped you start improving?
I think so the worst time I would say with the two conditions was 2013 to 15. That's the lowest I felt. And I got agoraphobic. I remember my parents saying, look, let's go for a walk or let's go to a cafe. I just wouldn't go out anywhere. They literally had to pull me out the door. And I think little by little, I realised because of them, and because my husband was like, right, we're going out. I'll be like, no. And then eventually I was like, I'm missing out here. This is ridiculous. Missed out 3 years of the girls' lives. I've got to change. I've got to change my lifestyle to, prove the medical professionals wrong, because they'd said I would be have no balance in half my body forever. I said, I'm not going to take that. I'm going to try and get better. So I changed my lifestyle. So come 2015, I started looking at my diet. I started sort of playing with the gluten-free, because inflammation was a big issue for me with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. I had tummy bad problems since I was in my 20s. I toyed with it. I kind of didn't just go hell for leather and just, cold turkey. I just sort of thought, I'll have a little go. And it actually improved my headaches. So I thought this is interesting. So then I had actually already given up alcohol in 2013 after an incident I had on the M25 motorway in the car, which was scary, calling out an ambulance and thinking I was having a heart attack again, but it was a big vertigo attack and a panic attack.
You were driving?
Yeah, I was driving on my own in the pouring rain, and that was really scary. And I was completely delirious, told them the wrong junction, everything. So the ambulance couldn't find me. But ever since that day, April 2013, I haven't drunk any alcohol. But I was actually advised not to. I was, by the consultant, said you might want to just reduce the alcohol or maybe stop it, if just test it out. But actually that put paid to that. So I didn't drink alcohol from that day. So I'd already given up alcohol. I had just...
Is that when you quit driving?
Yeah, that's when the panic disorder and the dizziness and vertigo, I just couldn't. I had a blockage. I just couldn't get, ever since that day, I just couldn't get in the car.
Yeah.
And I found being a passenger really difficult. It would cause panic attacks. Even if I was forcing myself to go in car journeys, I would have to rest for an hour after to stabilize. It was just, it crept into everything. Train journeys, car journeys, planes, everything. It just, as you know, it affects, the majority of your life and activities. I'd also recently in the 2015, or it might have been before, I can't remember when, but I'd given up caffeine because I had been thinking, well, surely with anxiety and dizziness, stimulants and adrenaline can't be very good. So I'm going to try and sort of give that up and see if that helps. And it really did help. I then didn't get the huge spike of anxiety with caffeine. And then when I came down from the caffeine buzz, I didn't get the depression. So that really helped. And then so that was 2015. I then started walking a little bit more. So I would just go to the end of our road and then back again. And then the next week I would go a little bit further. And then by the time I got to the summer, I was doing 9 miles a day. So I'd gone from 100 meters, and I had walking sticks. I did have my walking stick. I had to wean off my walking stick. I had to go with someone at the beginning as well. I was doing all these miles, which really, really helped because I had been through vestibular rehabilitation therapy, the physio, between 2013 and 14. Really intense. Did you
see improvement with that?
Yes, I think it kick-started. It was tough for the first 8 weeks. My brain, because I had VM and VN kicking off at the same time, she had to adjust things every week. I would go to the hospital and see the therapist. She was amazing. And I think it did help. So after the 8 weeks initial really, really bad dizziness, because people tend to stop when they get scared of that first 8 weeks. it's going to increase your symptoms because they're bringing on symptoms to try and make your brain retrain and compensate.
Yep.
People tend to give up, which I know is frustrating, and I nearly gave up. But I pushed through, and I thought, well, and the therapist said, well, look, you're going to get dizzier. And I thought, right, okay, I'm going to press on. And then I would say by 3 months, it started helping. And I started being able to walk down corridors without walking sticks. And, because corridors were bad for me, like the lighting in hospitals really bad, and supermarkets with loads of
oh my gosh, yeah,
on the shelves.
Yes.
Which I think is a common thing with vestibular sufferers. And so I started seeing some improvements in little things like, going to shops and being able to tolerate shops for 5 minutes longer than, before, and walking a little bit further. And, but the walking replaced that VRT and physio. So I ended up walking loads to try and keep my brain compensated, and it worked. And it, the dizziness has never gone.
Right.
The level of dizziness got better, and the vertigo got a little bit better, although it was still around. I was then not relapsing every other day. I was relapsing every week. And then the more I did walking and the more I was active, I could, see the improvements of the vertigo would then go to 3 months. And then, now I'm at what, 18 months.
18 months?
18 months since a huge attack. Yeah.
You still sway daily?
Yeah, I call it a shifting motion. So actually my consultant said that to me back in 2015. He described it quite well, because mine's shifting that left and right, forward and back. I don't really get the spinny much anymore. So I have like a baseline of dizziness I have every day, but it's capable. But if I really concentrated and sat down after a big activity, I could feel it. But when I'm doing activities now, I don't feel it as much. So
I know I remember back, I want to say in 2017, we were experiencing a similar symptom of, it was fatigue, but it was more than fatigue. It was a weakness when we would even get up to do housework. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And we had to learn how to do those things in chunks. I remember just doing 15 minutes and then resting for 30, and then doing 15 minutes and resting for another 30. And do you remember that? I mean,
yeah, I just remember it was impossible to get the house cleaned in a timely fashion. Some people could do it sort of 3 hours on the trot, not me. I would do 15 minutes of hoovering with my earplugs in, my Isolate earplugs in. I would have to rest for half an hour. Then I would do another 15 minutes, and literally the 15, 20 minutes. But then at the same time, if I rested longer than half an hour, I'd get dizzier. So it was just, I couldn't win.
Right.
So I just remember that 20, 30 minutes was my resting maximum of lying down in a day, because I would feel it then rocking and shifting. So I would then have to get up and walk around. So this is the reason why I drank loads of water from quite early on, because I felt, actually, if I drink lots of water, it will get me moving to go to the toilet. It would get me up, because I would forget. What I should have done is set a timer for 20 minutes, half an hour, but I would forget. But by the time 20 minutes passed, I would need the loo again.
Right.
I was drinking so much water. So that was a good tip. But I do remember even unloading the dishwasher, the head movements of down, up, and putting things into the cupboard. All the typical sort of housework, general daily activities of living, I found really difficult. But I find so much easier now.
Right.
So it's, I can cope. So I can do now 3-4 hours of cleaning and a trot and be fine. I can do a whole day's gardening and not have to rest for a week. So you can tell as time goes on when you're healing, that things get better in terms of the activities you never used to be able to do for long, but now you can. So it's been quite interesting.
I was reading over one of our emails and you mentioned mindfulness. And I know a lot of people get stuck when they think of mindfulness of meditation, but you listed a bunch of things, and I love this, that help you with mindfulness.
Yeah.
Like the crocheting and the painting. And I know you do a lot of things with the girls, the arts and crafts. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because people seem to think that they can't do meditation because so mindfulness is so hard for them, but there's so much more. I mean, just washing the dishes can be mindful.
Yeah, I think whatever, I have a lot of people contact me and say, I can't switch off, I can't do meditation because my mind races and I can't focus on it. You don't have to. Literally let those feelings come in and out. You don't have to, if you suddenly think of what to put on a Tesco delivery or your food shop, let it come in and then let it go out. That's just how the brain works. Meditation is there just to calm you. And over time, you can actually practice them. Your mind gets used to it, where, now those thoughts don't come in as much now, because I think my brain's just got used to just switching off when I do meditation. It takes quite a while. It took me 2-3 years to do the guided meditation effectively. And even now, I think, oh my God, I haven't washed the kids' gym kit. And it comes in and I'm like, oh, that's fine. I thought of that. Right. It can go out now, but actually meditation doesn't have to be lying down, sitting down in a guided state. It can be anything that zones you out. It could be listening to a piece of music. It could be just 10 minutes lying on a bed, doing some grounding and feeling the cushioning, but, of your, with the grounding and the body scans and stuff.
Right.
It could be hugging a tree. It could be barefoot in the garden. It could be gardening. It could be drawing. It could be doing an activity with your kids, going away with your husband. It could be anything that zones you out, something you enjoy.
Right.
Or something that you find calming. Nature, we forget about nature. That's a huge part of my healing.
It is huge. And sometimes we just don't feel like doing that. And I remember I was homebound for a while and my mother coming over and she's like, she knew I was getting depressed. She's like, I'm picking you up. I'm not taking no for an answer. And we're going to the beach just so you can put your feet in the sand. And I resisted, but I went, and it was like, there's just a release. You just got to find.
And I think people just need to try things.
Yep.
You just need to push yourself and try things. And I think also what people strive for is perfection. Yeah. So they think that meditation and mindfulness, it's got to be perfect, but it doesn't.
No.
So there's perfection is impossible. No one can ever be perfect. So striving for perfection is just going to put pressure on and stress on you. So I think that creeps into everything. We shouldn't strive for perfection in our work or anything, because we put pressure on ourselves and just do the best we can, really.
Yeah.
But the mindset healing side has been huge. It was the missing piece of the puzzle for me. And it's not just about sitting cross-legged, praying to the whatever, namaste or whatever. But, I do mindfulness Pilates most nights, and I love that. That really relaxes me. So there's lots of different things you can do. And as you know, I do Eft tapping a lot. So
yes, I love that. I would love to learn more about that. Did you go to someone particular or read a particular book or anything for that Eft tapping?
My CBT therapist told me about it. When I went to see her, I was with her for 3 years weekly, because I needed therapy. I think who doesn't with chronic conditions, really?
Right.
I would, advise it to anybody who is struggling, because just talking about it is really important. So she mentioned Eft tapping and gave me this leaflet. And it was just like she printed it off, you can get it off the internet.
Right.
And it was just showing the meridian points and where to tap and the setup statements. So if I feel really, really dizzy one day, say tomorrow I woke up really dizzy, I would say, well, even though I'm tapping right now, in my temple, even though I feel really dizzy right now, I'm going to acknowledge this feeling. I'm not scared. I'm not worried about it. It's just, it is going to go. It's temporary. And I will get on with my day the best I can. And then it just sort of just fizzles away.
Is it it's kind of a grounding?
Yeah,
Or, okay.
It really is, because the tapping affirms to you what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the one that they call it the karate chop, there is a proper name for it. They call it the karate chop, and that's very powerful. And they use that in neuroplasticity, and they use it in hypnotherapy and CBT and stuff to reinforce and affirm. Affirmations. It's very, very powerful, and if it's practiced continuously, it's extremely powerful.
So you do that when you find yourself anxious, or is there? When would you go to that?
I do that if I'm feeling anxious, if I'm having a panic attack, if I feel a panic attack coming on. Mm-hmm. I do it if I'm NQR not quite right, if I just feel a bit off, any situation where I'm feeling a bit vulnerable. Okay. And it just helps me so much.
I will have to look into that. Is there anybody particular any website or anything you could recommend?
Not really. There's loads of things on YouTube. Okay. There's practitioner. You can actually be a practitioner. So I actually want to do it properly. And when I've got some time, I want to write a book, like I want to do lots more blogs.
I know.
And everything else. You can actually see a load on YouTube. If you put in EFT tapping in Google and go to images, you'll see some instruction like sheets. Mm-hmm. I can send anybody the one I've got. Okay. So please contact me, through my blog, and I'll send it to you.
All right.
It's a tool that's free, and it's a tool that you can do anywhere.
Yeah, and carry it with you anywhere. Yeah.
And my daughter actually does it at school because she gets a bit anxious in some classes. So I've just taught her how to do it.
I have to tell you something. I watched you doing it once, and I was extremely stressed one day in traffic. And I'm like, for some reason, you popped in my head. So I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm ding, 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 tapping. But something about it just calmed me.
Yeah, because you're actually tapping your neurological, your pathways. Yeah. The meridian points are, the areas that they say really influence and affirm and work. And then you've got the collarbone and you've got your underarm. There must be they're called meridian points.
Right.
Someone's come up with this pathway, this, but it really does work. It's not for everybody.
Right, sure.
When I'm having a panic out, say that I'm at a restaurant or I'm feeling a bit vulnerable and I don't want to start tapping my head, I'll tap my, the karate chop on the side of your hand under a desk or down low, so you can do it secretly.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I've taught my daughter, because obviously she can't sit there tapping her temples and head where people think that she's gone a bit crazy, but and they're a bit conscious at that age. So
absolutely.
Yeah, but I think she's finding it quite helpful, along with the breathing techniques I was teaching her. I mean, there's loads of different toolkits you've got that you just find what works for you. Not everybody's the same, and I just have to try these things, and if it doesn't work, put it aside for a bit, maybe come back to it, because we've got to be in a receptive mood to try these things, really.
Laura, what advice would you give someone at the beginning of their vestibular journey?
I would say if I was to speak to myself back in 2012 when I got first diagnosed, and then maybe when it all but went really bad, I suppose I would say acknowledge the symptoms. Don't try and fight them, because the more you try and fight them, the stronger they get and the worse they come back. And the anxiety actually can cause dizziness and vertigo on its own. So I think, get into a meditation or mindfulness routine ASAP. because I think everybody should, even if they don't have chronic illness. I think life stresses nowadays and work and everything, people should be doing some form of mindfulness. And yeah, so I would say embrace, it sounds ridiculous, but embrace the symptoms, feel them. I used to, get busy and, go and do some stuff, but actually sometimes that kind of made it worse. And all I'm doing is ignoring them.
Right.
And they would just stay and then they would get worse. And, I think, like I say to my children, acknowledge the feelings. You're feeling down, you're feeling anxious. They're not, they're not frightened. They are frightening, obviously, with vestibular stuff, but they're normal reactions like anxiety, depression as normal reactions to your body not feeling quite right. So embrace them, acknowledge them, and they'll fizzle away more than they would if you were like, oh, I don't want these feelings. I don't want this,
Yeah.
Fighting
The more you fight, yeah.
So I just used to fight it constantly. Now I know that if I, I'm feeling not quite right, say tomorrow I woke up and I'm feeling really awful, I would sit there, do a body scan, see what my body needs. Maybe it needs more water, maybe I need more food, maybe I need to just calm down a bit. The relapses I'm not scared of anymore because I learn from them every time they, darken my door. They're not as frightening now because I acknowledge them and I embrace them in a way, which is a complete opposite to what people would think they should do. I know Joey Remini, is an advocate for this because, her neuroplasticity and the way she teaches people to do it is to embrace them and to actually, feel,
right,
and not ignore and not push away.
Yeah. It's a kind of acceptance, but it's an acceptance to move on, I think, through it. I know I'm the same way. When I fought it, my symptoms amplified. But once I finally and I say surrender, but people take surrender to mean something else, like giving up, and it's not. You're surrendering to the symptoms, and like you do the little checklist on, did I have water? I do the same thing in my head. What did I eat? Did I get enough sleep? Am I having a stressful day? What can I change? What do I have control over that I can change to see if I can shift that?
Yeah. And it's actually sometimes your body telling you that you're doing too much, and to get back in control and just slow down a bit. Right. Because actually I see the relapses now that come in, not that often, but when they do, I think, well, clearly I've done far too much recently and I've taken on too much. This is a sign that I need to slow down, regroup, and, move forward in a more calm manner and not do, humans can't do tons of stuff. Yes, women are multitaskers and stuff like that, but, we do take on a lot.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we need to delegate. And I suppose that's the other thing is maybe I should have delegated a bit more when I was going through really bad time, get people to cook more for me, get people to take the kids out more. I should have, that's what I probably would have said, to get people to help you.
Yeah.
And actually also share how you're feeling with people. My CBT therapist taught me, if someone says to you, how are you today? Don't say, oh, I'm fine, when you're not. Mm-hmm. Say, actually, I'm not feeling quite right, and I think I need a bit of a rest. Can you help with that? Or, to actually be a bit more open with how I was feeling. And that was one of the turning points, actually. So I emailed her the other day, actually, to thank her for everything she'd done, because I'm in a place now where it's a hell of a lot better, and I wouldn't have got here if it hadn't been her part.
Right.
In it.
Well, what has living with a vestibular disorder taught you?
More patience, because I never really used to have a lot of patience. I'm still quite bad with it, but more patience, yeah. More empathy, more respectful for other people going through chronic illness or not feeling quite, they're suffering from things. I listen more. Actually, it's weird to say it, but it's kind of been a bit of a gift to me, because I kind of needed to slow down. I was a party goer, I was a bit of a drinker, and I wasn't. What it's taught me is to appreciate life more.
Sure.
I used to just sort of be in a bit of a routine, work, play, and didn't really sort of feel. And now I have found myself in a pilgrimage way.
Yes.
I have really, and it's taught me to look deeper at myself, more spiritually, I suppose. I'm not a spiritual person as such as like going to the church, but I'm not religious or anything. But I do feel that there's something that gave me these conditions to, and I've helped hopefully a lot of people, and I mentor people and give them inspiration and hope that they can get better. And you can get better.
Yeah, you can.
But you have to work at it.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, I have so many people contacting me that think there's a magic pill or there's a magic solution, and they keep searching. But actually, what we have within us is the answer.
Right.
And we can do a hell of a lot, parallel to medication maybe, or whatever they're doing. You can do a lot yourself that's free. I suppose that's what I didn't realise back then as well. I wish I could say to myself, stop searching for, I tried, I counted them up once. It's like 98 different things I tried. Reflexology, hypnotherapy, osteopath, everything, holistic.
You drive yourself mad.
Yeah, you would. You'd actually drive yourself mad, and actually you're missing the trick. It is actually you that can work on it and actually get better.
So true.
It's so powerful. We really can retrain our brains to cope. It was very clever, the brain. We can cope ourselves with a lot of things. Yeah.
Was there anything along your journey that helped you the most?
I would say the exercise has helped me the most. Obviously, I've been on a big fitness journey, sort of going towards the 50 mark. I'm 46 this year, and I'm thinking, right, I want to get fit before I'm 50. I needed to lose weight for health reasons, but it was not just so. It's not about the weight loss, really. It was about getting fit, getting strong, and being here for my children when I'm old, when they're older, and it was trying to, and the exercise is a form of physio and VRT. Absolutely, 100%, it helps. And look at what they're doing now with arthritis patients and other patients. They're giving people exercise regimes because it is so powerful. It's great for endorphins. It's the stress, whatever it's called, the stress hormone, it reduces. There's so much evidence that exercise helps, and you don't have to stand in front of an aerobics video and sweat it out. You can just I actually don't really sweat. I literally do mindfulness, Pilates, bit of walking and some weight training, nothing too strenuous, and it keeps me strong and fit, and it really, really helps my mindset, and it really helps. I've noticed a huge difference in the little minor vertigo blips. It's been a long time since I've had a huge one, but I do now and again get like the sinking, whoop, like a bit of a spin here and there, and a bit of a drop of gravity, as we should call it. Right. And it really helps. I think the Pilates has really helped with the vertigo, and it's very slow. You don't have to work too hard. It's very, very powerful. And if anybody has done VRT, they'll know how little the movements are, but how huge they are for a vestibular sufferer. They're quite intense. Even just lifting your head up from the ground to sitting position is an intense movement for us. So I do very slow movements, but 100% the exercise has been one of the biggest things that's improved me. Keeping hydrated, I drink quite a lot of water a day. Staying away from stimulants like caffeine and alcohol and energy drinks and sugar, refined sugar. Yes, the diet change. I'm dairy free and gluten free, and I'm vegan now. But that's just because of my IBS and my tummy problems has helped with that. But it has helped with things like my endometriosis and my other conditions as well. And obviously the mindset side, the meditation. But yeah, number one is exercise, I think.
Yeah. You've had quite a transformation since September.
Just a bit. Yeah. I'm feeling, and I don't want to jinx it, but I do feel pretty good. It's my new good. It's never be the old good.
Right.
It won't be 12 years ago, but I'm happy with this. I still have the baseline dizziness. It still flares up now and again if I've done too much. It's that fine balance, excuse the pun, but it's, I can get on with my day.
Right.
And I'm happy with that.
Yeah. It's crazy to look back on the videos on Mummy C and Devil's private group and see so many of us that were struggling back in 2017 when you first started, and to see where we are today with all that support. It's been amazing. And you have been a huge support for so many people out there. You
see, my mum often says this, and I get a lot of messages saying, "Oh my God, you've been amazing, and I don't know where I would have been without you." But actually, at the end of the day, we're all in it together, and we're all supporting each other. I set it up and everything, but we're all like a family, and we all support each other, and we're all trying to get to the same goal of having days where we feel that we can get on with our day. So, I thank you for saying it.
Yeah.
Some people find being in groups triggering. Sometimes I find it triggering. I wouldn't be human if I didn't. My CBT therapist thought it wasn't particularly the greatest thing I could have done, but I found it. I don't think I would be where I am today without it. And sharing the sort of highs and lows. And it's lovely to see people that come back on the videos and they do live videos or pre-recorded videos or posts to say how they've improved. And it's amazing because I remember how they were when it came to us.
Yes.
Just it's so amazing.
I know.
I think often also people don't believe they can do it, but you have to believe you can do it. And that's where the Eft tapping comes in as well. It changes your mindset to, from negative chatter to actually positive statements and saying, I can do this. I'm tapping again, aren't I, on my head?
Yeah.
No, it's automatic. I've got this appointment I'm going to, for example. I've got this. I can do it. I'm enough. I'm loved. I can love. All of these different affirmations and the different buzzwords, and put post-it notes around your house. Yeah, that's what I used to do, saying you've got this.
Yep.
Stay positive, and it's not just about staying positive. That's easy to say, but all these different reminders. You can write them all over your house for a bit.
It's so true. Well, before we go, Lara, I wanted to end with something a little fun. Are you ready for whirlwind questions?
Oh, okay.
Is there anything else you wanted to share before we go on?
No, I don't think so. I think I've covered it. I think you just got to believe that you can do it. And I think you've got to have faith in your own body and mind.
Yeah.
We can achieve so much.
Yeah. And absolutely find friends in the community. I find I've made lifelong friends in the vestibular community, and they get it.
Yeah. And I think, the one frustration that I get a lot from people is that they have a lot of family and friends that don't understand it. I think it's probably one of the most dominating posts that on Instagram and Facebook and messages I get. And, I've lost friends through this, but they're friends that didn't belong because they didn't support. And I think you don't have to understand what someone has. You can still support them. I don't understand what some of my friends have in their chronic conditions. I've tried to read up on them and I still don't understand because some of them are very complex, but I can still support them. I can still hold their hand. I can still listen. And so that's where, you know, people do get frustrated. And of course, people can't get it.
Yeah. We barely get it.
We barely get it. You couldn't even write a movie about it. So
No.
off the wall. It's a very difficult thing to get unless you've got it. And so
Yes.
I think that's the battle I had for years, is I was getting frustrated and upset about, you know, people not getting it and the judgmental and negative comments. But I just realized, well, that's them. That's not me.
Yep.
You know, I just look after myself and, you know,
And move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, great. So, okay. So you ready for whirlwind questions?
I am.
Okay. The first question, fill in the blank. Vestibular disorders are?
My goodness. Debilitating, frustrating, and scary.
It's true.
But they don't have to be.
No. Don't last forever.
Not forever.
You feel your symptoms coming on and you're trying to be brave. What's the first thing that you do?
Well, as I said before, I try and do body scan or like sit with those feelings, acknowledge them, do some Eft tapping straight away and embrace them and just listen to what my body needs, really. You know, try and connect back. And whether that's grounding, go and hug a tree and go and connect to the earth. And there's a few things that I do to help. But the one thing is to try not to fight it. I think that's what I've learned in the past, and try not to ignore it and divert all the time, because you're just sort of running away from actually what really you should be sort of finding out what your body needs, really.
Mm-hmm. It's trying to speak to you. That was one of the hardest things for me, listening.
Yeah.
What's one thing that people usually get wrong about you?
I think it's because I look all right and I exercise and they see me exercising and they see me going here and there and they basically think I'm cured, and I'm not. And it's a lifetime condition that I have, conditions. And, you know, I have flare-ups still. I have bad days. I have good days. And I think that's where they see on Instagram or see, and this is the social media problem, is, you know, what's missing is people should pick up the phone and say, how actually are you? I see that you're doing exercise. I see that you're looking great. And but how actually are you? Are you feeling all right?
Right.
Because they forget that actually, no, I've still got these conditions, but I manage them well. Like my consultant said, I manage them very well, but it takes a lot of focus. And the minute I come off that focus and that personal treatment plan, that is the minute I will relapse. So it is quite exhausting to keep plowing forward, but, you know, I'm in a good routine now.
Yeah.
But that's where people, you know, get wrong. They just assume.
Right.
And not check in. And I think actually,
I think that's something that you're just going to have to, we all deal with on a regular basis. And it's just something that's going to be part of it.
Yeah.
What is your favorite meal?
Oh, a big salad.
A big salad. You make some amazing salads.
I love salads. And I love them even in the winter. My husband has a roast do you call them roast in America? A roast chicken, roast beef, roast pork.
When we ate meat, yes.
He has that every Sunday. I have a big salad. And that's not just like piddly lettuce and, you know, I put like vegan sausages in it. I put sun-dried tomatoes. I put broccoli. And, you know, I love a huge salad. Yeah, it's colourful and nutritious. So
yes. I love salads. I love just throw everything and anything I have in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. What's the last show that you binged and loved?
It's called Love on the Spectrum.
That looks adorable.
I loved it.
Do you cry?
I loved it. I cried my eyes out. most of the series. I binged watched. I literally was doing about 5 a night because it's so heartwarming. I mean,
Yes.
if no one's seen it, it's about autism and ADHD and people on the spectrum that are trying to find love.
Mhm.
Good on them. I mean, they just are so lovely. I've got a few friends with autistic children, ADHD, and, you know, it's just lovely. I just think it just was filmed really nicely. It's just lovely. I loved it. I hope they do
I've
another
watched
one.
a couple trailers, but I haven't watched the show yet.
Yeah, but I did cry a lot. Yeah.
I cried during the trailer, so I imagine so.
Yeah.
What's on your nightstand?
On my nightstand. Do you mean my side table in my room?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you call it nightstand. I like
know,
that.
nightstand, side table.
Bedside table.
Yes.
That's so English. Bedside table. I have got, well, there's something really special on there. And it's a jar. I think my kids gave it to me about a year ago on Mother's Day or something. And it's a big jar and it's full of notes that they've written. And there's about 100 in there and they're all screwed up. And I open them up now and again when I'm feeling a bit sort of, you know, when I just want to just look at them. And they say positive and encouraging notes that they've written. So that's lovely. I've got a candle, which is really calming scent from an amazing lady, a friend of mine called Lulberry. She's incredible. She does like really pure essential oil, coconut-based wax, and they're just beautiful scents. So I find that really calming. So when I'm doing my mindfulness Pilates, I'll put that on.
That sounds good.
Or just like, you know, body scan, I'll pop it on. What else have I got? I've got an air purifier for my allergies. I've got like antihistamine. I've got my glasses because I'm blind if I get up in the middle of the night. And I've got a lavender sleep pillow mist. That helps me fall asleep.
Nice.
I spray it on every night on my pillow.
That's nice.
That's what's on my nightstand. Nightstand.
What? I know. So what do you call it? Side table?
I'm going to call it a nightstand now. They call it a bedside table.
Bedside table. It is a bedside table. What's an activity that completely relaxes you?
My mindfulness Pilates that I do every night, pretty much. And I love art and drawing, painting.
Yeah.
I like listening to music. I love gardening. Love gardening. I mean, that is just something that really relaxes. I love growing things. I love looking at flowers. I just walk around my garden. Don't have to garden. I just walk around it and stroke flowers and talk to my plants. I
love when you post of your garden.
I know.
I could sit there for hours.
It's like a spam of garden flowers.
But it's so beautiful. You've done a lot of work in there. What movie could you watch over and over and never tire of?
It's Labyrinth, I reckon.
Oh my goodness.
You see, I like Dirty Dancing and I like Grease, but I love Labyrinth with David Bowie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in years.
I have seen that about 30 times.
Wow.
And I think me and the kids have watched it about 10. I love it. I think it's just, I just like the whole, I don't know why I like it.
Don't they have like elves or
it's got weird things in it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. Yeah.
I love the music as well. Yeah.
Well, I'll have to find that one. I haven't seen it in.
Have you not seen it for ages?
I haven't seen it in years.
Oh my God, you've got to go watch it.
Yes. What's your most used tool out of your vestibular toolbox?
Oh, you can probably guess this. Yeah,
EFT tapping.
She's tapping her face.
I'm tapping my face.
Yeah, EFT tapping, because it's just amazing. I love it. It's got me through some really sticky situations. Some
Fantastic.
Really god awful panic attacks. Yeah.
What are you extremely grateful for right now?
My family, just amazing support. just, I'm grateful that I've still got my parents. I know a lot of people haven't. So I'm very blessed that they're still around and supporting me. They're amazing. My husband, my children, they give me strength. They have a reason to fight on every day. Yeah. And I'm grateful recently for my body and mind, and certainly my body allowing me to do all this exercise. And I give it thanks every time I've done it, because keeping fit, it keeps my symptoms at bay. So I'm grateful for that. Yeah, I have a lot to be grateful for. I'm grateful for having a good job. I love my work. There's lots of things, and yes, there's stresses, come in and out. But I just, have to look at the good things, not so much all the bad.
Right.
And that's the same. Actually, the one big tip is to give people is to, focus on what you can do and not what you can't, because there's still quite a bit we can do, even if it's 5 minutes here and there. But
right.
I used to focus on a lot of I can't do this, I can't go to the cinema, I can't go to the theatre, I can't go for a walk, blah blah blah. But I can do a little bit of this, and I can get dressed in the morning, and I can do this. And so
yeah, for sure. Well, Lara, thank you so much for meeting with us and sharing your story. I'm so happy we finally got to connect.
I know, it was wonderful. Thank you. I'm honoured for being asked to do it. Thank you.
No problem. Well, now you just have to fly. You got to South Africa. Now you just have to fly to the US.
Oh, I know. I have a lot of people to meet in the US. There are a lot of members in the US.
Why not make it Disney World?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to do a big tour around the US and see you all and give you a big hug.
That would be fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And I will include all your details in the notes.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me, Heather Davies, and my guest Lara on this week's episode of Meniere's Muse. If you would like to reach out to Lara, please find her public Facebook group at Mummy C and Devil, or find her on Instagram. If you would like to reach out to me, Heather Davies, please feel free to email me at menieresmuse@gmail.com or find me on Instagram. I would like to take a moment to say thank you for being a part of the Meniere's Muse community. I love to find inspirational vestibular warriors and have them share their healing journey to inspire others. Your feedback is very important to me. If you haven't already left a review, please leave a 5-star review and let me know what you want to hear more of on the show. I'm here for you. We are here for you. No one has to go on this journey alone. Be sure to subscribe to Meniere's Muse for updates. I'll see you next week, warriors.